Hi everyone. In this lesson we're going to start setting up some materials in our scene, starting down here with the water. So to start this, let's create a new VRay material and we'll just name this water. And then let's create a VRayWater texture. Just type in water and let's select that one. And then we're going to drop this into the bump map of this material. So we can just middle mouse drag this VRayWater texture into the bump slot. There we go. And let's just apply this material to the water geometry in our scene. And then we want to make sure this is UV mapped correctly. So let's select this, go up to create UVs and planar mapping, and we'll choose the little box here. And make sure it's set to bounding box. We want to map it in the Z axis. And make sure this is checked so that we keep the image width height ratio, and then click project. And that should be good. Now if we go back to our render cam and go back into the material settings, let's just give this a diffuse color that's kind of a dark greenish blue, something like this. And then give it a reflection color that's pure white. And then let's check use Fresnel. And we'll set the reflection glossiness a little bit lower, something like 0.9. Okay. And then let's just do a test render. Okay, so that looks pretty good actually, but we're not seeing any of the VRayWater texture, so we're going to need to adjust some of those settings. So if you select your VRayWater texture and then go over to your attribute editor, you can start adjusting some of these settings. One of the downsides of using this is that you can't actually see it in your viewport as you adjust it. You have to render it each time to see the changes. But one of the really nice things about using this is that you can change the resolution and patch size so that you don't get any tiling, which is nice. Otherwise, if you're just using a tiled image or something and you have a very large expanse of water, you would start to see some of that tiling. But using the VRayWater, you can avoid that using these two things. So I've kind of already messed around with this a little bit and I already know the settings that I want. So I'm going to turn the height multiplier down to 0.5 and turn the wind direction up to 10, the magnitude down to 5, and then by default this is actually animated by default, and if you don't want it to be animated you need to set this back down to 0. I'm going to change the resolution up and then change the patch size to something quite large, like 5,000. Okay, and then let's see how this looks. Okay, so it's basically exactly what I was going for. Just a really smooth water surface with some subtle ripples in there. If you want these to be more pronounced, you can increase the height multiplier. And that really takes care of it for the water. In the next lesson, we can start texturing some of these other pieces of geometry in our scene.